Afternoon, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Happy day after President's Day.
Is that a holiday? The day after President's Day?
For those of us who had the day off yesterday, yes, I guess might be.
I think the day after the holiday should definitely be a holiday.
Should be a holiday, yes.
Yeah, no question.
This may shock some of you on the call, but the state of Connecticut employees actually get both President's Days off. If you can believe that. This is a great country we live in, obviously. And depending, you don't have to choose which is your favorite president. Looks like we're going to have a quorum plus. And I was worried about Tuesdays. Let's see, so we're waiting on. I think we pretty much have everybody. I'm going to give it another minute. It's only 5:31.
Hi, everyone. Just saying hi.
Great. Thanks, everyone, for, let's see. Well, let me just call the meeting to order. It's 5:31 on February 20th. I'd like to call the new elementary school building committee to order. We have some important votes to take tonight. So it's good we have a quorum. Moving on to the agenda, item number 2, public comment. Do we have any members of the public with their hands raised?
No, but Dr. Cook is on.
Okay,
Just letting you know.
got it. Feel free if he wants to raise his hand to be invited to the meeting, but not necessarily required, but more than welcome, obviously. Moving on to item number 3, approval of prior minutes of February 5th, 2024. I don't know if everyone had a chance to review it. Would anyone like to make a motion? I couldn't hear you, Woody, but I saw your hand raised. For some reason, you're not muted, not shown as muted, but you're not the volume. I didn't hear any volume. No. Still not hearing you. The high-powered Mac you got there, Woody's letting you down today.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Bob. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Woody raising his hand. That's good. Moving on to new business, architects, PM and OPM report. I believe, Justin, we have your,
Hi, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My apologies. I have a planning board meeting to attend at 6 o'clock. So I will give my brief update and stick around. This is mostly Collier's and Gilbane show tonight. I can report that we have been participating in scope reviews with apparent low bidders, as well as attending meetings to discuss the RTAs that you'll be reviewing this evening. I will know for record because Woody had asked at the last meeting to get from Kohler Ronan an update on what the EUI would be with a photovoltaic array. I do not have that for this evening, but that is in the queue, and I'll communicate that back through the building committee.
Justin, did he give you the size, recommended size and kilowatts?
I asked that information's forthcoming. They did it previously, but I asked them to refresh it. So that will be coming, Woody, and we'll forward that through the chain of command.
Thank you.
But overall, I'm sure you'll hear some good news stories tonight regarding our bid results and where we are with the project. So thank you.
thanks, Justin. I assume are you in the Westerly Town Hall there at Planning and Zoning, or is that?
I am in a 90-degree dungeon at the town hall. So
I do like the chair rail there. It's a nice touch.
Yeah. It's not my home decor. that's
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
assume not. I assume not.
Thank you.
Moving on to the construction managers. Is that Nick, you up? Are you your turn, or you want to do Adam first?
Yeah, why don't, let's go with Colliers first on this. one.
Okay, go ahead.
I see how it
Steal
is.
his thunder. Go ahead.
So we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the phase 2 packages here as part of agenda 5 for the early release trades. As Justin noted, and Nick will third here in a second. We're going through the scope review meetings for the other packages as well, getting those ironed out. Each of the packages goes through a scope review meeting with Gilbane and Tecton and other subconsultants and Colliers, and to basically vet each of the parent low bidders to confirm that they've got the scope and they can, long story short, do the job for the bid that they're putting it in, and there aren't any major conflicts or issues. So each one of those typically has little homework items to follow up on and clarify. So those are getting cleared out, but by and large, it doesn't appear that there's, at least from Collier's perspective, that there's any major issues thus far, and that each of the packages will have a satisfactory bidder here when we iron out the remaining of the GMP in the rest of this month and maybe the early part of March. Before Nick speaks some more to that process, just a couple other housekeeping items. There was an RFP published for stormwater monitoring services. I had sent an email out to the group. That's on the street, and there's been outreach to potential bidders and companies. So we're looking to get those responses and pricing March 4th. When we get to the end of the meeting and talk about schedule, we may want to shift a SBC meeting to help expedite approval of those services. But point here is that the RFP was issued for those services. One other note that came up at the recent Board of Selectmen meeting that Graham and I attended was the notion about the project itself in terms of being on schedule or not on schedule, and there seemed to be some ambiguity in the discussions among the town. So as of now, the project is on schedule, and I updated the macro schedule on the town school building committee website to reflect where we're at. That red bar moving across the screen right as we get into construction. So just in case there was any ambiguity about that, we're marching along, and as of right now, we're getting into construction when we're supposed to be getting into construction. And then I think that's about it for sort of side items. We've got a lot to get through in terms of the awards for Gilbane and the trades, as well as some other consultants, but I think that's it for sort of general updates.
Got it. Moving on, Nick, you're up.
Oh yeah, Adam stole on my thunder when he cut in front there. No, as Adam mentioned, we scope review the low bidder for every package. Some of them we've had to go more than one. He mentioned homework items that the bidders usually follow up with. There's questions and comments that come up during the meeting. We ask them to go back, check their takeoffs, and confirm that they have the scope as intended. We've probably received just over half of those responses back in full. We've gotten, I think, all the responses back at this point, but then there's some back and forth that we have with them. So well, more than half of those are signed and sealed at this point in terms of, we're all on the same page from the comments and questions that came up during the scope reviews. We're assembling our GMP, or guaranteed maximum price, now. We're targeting, I think, the 7th to have that submitted. I think we're probably more like the 4th or 5th. We'll have that over to you guys. And then we're continuing to, as we continue to assemble that, we're pricing out all the site service or general requirements items like trailers, toilets, dumpsters, those type of items. And we've got several team members that have since joined us since the last meeting, which obviously Rob Kowal, our project manager, was here for the last meeting. Vinny Lynch, our senior general superintendent, is now on board as of yesterday, as is our project engineer, Steve McIntyre. So our team is starting to round out, and Vinny and Steve are getting their head around the job now. So we hit the ground running in a couple of weeks on site.
Excellent. Any questions from the committee to Nick, Adam, or Justin? Got it. Good. Well-oiled machine here. Moving on to item number 5, review and potential award of early release trade packages. Vote to approve. Adam, maybe if you want to set the table for us.
Yeah, so there are 2 documents that are in the committee packet. Now, I'll pop them on the screen here. One's a Word file, one's a PDF. Similar to phase 1, this is what's going to constitute the formal notice and award authorization for Gilbane to enter into contracts with 6 of the packages that we were just talking about. The packages in question are concrete, structural steel, plumbing, HVAC and controls, electrical and security, and site work. The total for these packages is just a little over 23 million, 24 million, 23, I think. And then in addition to that, there are some Gilbane costs associated with mobilizing, including general condition, general requirements, the performance and payment bonds, insurance, and then their CM fee for the trade amounts and for the other costs. So effectively, this is the first wave that is authorizing Gilbane to go ahead, start the construction phase. So put fencing up, get the site contractor up and coordinated, and start moving dirt, start construction, for lack of a better term. The reason why this is coming up as a separate breakout from the guaranteed maximum price is to facilitate schedule. So as I mentioned, right now we're on schedule, but if we waited until all of this is compiled into the full GMP, go through all the exclusions and the more nitty gritty with some of the rest of the packages, that eats into 3-4 weeks that we could instead be moving dirt and getting ahead on doing the actual site work. That's a critical path item. You can't close the building in until concrete's done. Can't get concrete done until steel's done. Can't steel done until foundations are done. Can't do the foundations till the site's done. So as soon as we start the site, the sooner we can move along our critical path to construction. In terms of what this contractual mechanism means for the town, this isn't an authorization to proceed and to engage in spending money. So the notion is that you're exchanging the potential risk of not having all of the contract items ironed out from the full GMP in exchange for getting started sooner on the schedule and started in construction. We experienced this with a number of projects, particularly in the light of long lead items, particularly in the light of some of the recent bidding concerns where a town might go out to bid and the projected GMP might be right at their budget or maybe even a little more, and it's a much bigger risk to try to release a bunch of money up front. In this case, as is in this letter that the Board of Selectmen will be reviewing and hopefully approving tomorrow, the expected cost for the GMP is at or maybe a little above $48 million versus the budget of 52.5 approximately. So well under budget, about $4.5 million, based on the very good very good bids that we received for the trade packages. So in terms of the major risk of going through this contracting early and potentially not getting a GMP, that is, I won't say there's zero, but it's effectively zero that the GMP would come in over budget. So now we're just talking about the risk of whether or not there's some contractual items with Gilbane, and quite frankly, if we don't sign a GMP with Gilbane, that's talking about redoing the project schedule and redoing the project as a whole in terms of what the expectations are. So at this point, the project team is comfortable with recommending that we move forward with considering this early release, and so that's why this is put forth for the SBC tonight to approve, and then like I said, assuming there's an approval from you all tonight, tomorrow for Board of Selectmen to finalize the authorization.
Does anyone have any questions to Adam about this?
Can I just
Go ahead, Seth.
can I just ask real quick? about 4 million under the total budget, which incurs a little into the 5 million construction contingency, or it's 4 million under the contingency.
So it is 4 million under the revised construction budget after the money was shifted from within the referendum, after some of contingency was moved. So we went into this process saying we need to hit 52.5 million to have the project in line with after all those changes. This is 4 million better than that. So as part of the considerations of what to do with the money will be potentially replenishing the contingency. There's alternates, there's reshifting the money into the referendum has been discussed. So to your point, it's after all of those cuts, sacrifices, etc., that have been made. So it's not
Thank
as
you.
though we're just swimming in 4 million of found money.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, all good news. That's called burying the lead, Adam, by the way. Got it. Great. That's good. I mean, not that we still have some, as everyone remembers, there was a lot of bid options we took off the table and contingencies and things like that. So we got a ways to go, but it's a good problem to have. But we'll talk about that in subsequent meetings. I believe, Adam, did you have a motion?
I
Prepared?
did have a draft motion. I can put it on the screen, which please is a committee. It is a longer one to categorize what all the awards are to the individual packages.
This is basically just memorializing what you just explained to us, right?
Yes. So that way the minutes reflect
Yep.
what all the various components are.
Would someone like to make a motion? I don't know if we need necessarily to read the entire motion verbatim. Would anyone like to make a motion to this effect?
I'll move that I'll move to make a motion that we take Adam's wording and use it as our motion.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Sharon with a quick trigger on the second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Call the vote. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
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 Aye. I think that's unanimous. Congratulations. We're halfway there.
Very good.
Okay. And moving on to item number 6, review and potential award of construction subconsultants. Adam, if you want to maybe give us a little, I think you already mentioned a little bit, but gave us a little more detail.
Yes. So there was 2 on the agenda, and I would ask the committee to consider a third for consultants for the town that will be required as part of construction activities. The first of which is the materials testing lab, which I'll share my screen here again. So basically, this is the firm that goes out and pulls the concrete cores, does the soil sampling and testing for compaction and things like that. They do it throughout the project, and the mechanism that is typically utilized for school projects is there's a DAS state contract that we piggyback off of. They've gotten good pricing, and they have the firms that are responsive in the area. So in coordination with Gilbane and Collier's construction team, there was a firm that seemed to be best fit for this project. That's Tri-State Materials Testing Lab. So they're under the state contract, and they have set unit rates for each of the various tests. So per concrete core, per soil compaction, et cetera, et cetera. So the motion to award in the draft motions is for an allowance of $50,000, not to exceed. That's billed on a time and material basis. You can't exactly predict how many cores you'll need or how many soil samples you need across 14, 15 months of construction. So this is the way to kind of give them an allowance, and then when they come up to that allowance, come back to the committee and get a reauthorization for additional funds thereafter. So likely between 100,000 and 150 is what the end result will be. for a project of this size and complexity. So we start them off at 50 and then go from there. So it's not just this big amount that's hanging out there for the entire.
Adam?
I'll go through all of them.
That says 500,000, doesn't it?
I was just gonna say that.
So this is I'm sorry. So this is the state contract where, as part of this, they come up with various limits and things. This is just a form of the agreement and the form of their unit pricing. Any municipality can borrow off of that, and underneath those terms, give them allowance. So that 500,000 is part of the state contract documents, not for this project.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Give a PO for 50, whatever, to start them.
50, exactly. Yes. Do you want me to do all of them, Graham? or
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
want
once
me
you
to
run through
wait?
all of them, then we'll do one motion, or do motions right one after the other. Yep.
Okay, fair enough. The second is for Michael Horton and Associates for $5,000 to do special inspection coordination services. So as we're going through construction process, there are certain items that require special inspections. Some of the geotech items and some of the some other engineering components that need dedicated special inspection. And then the special inspection coordinator reviews all those reports and makes a report out to the building official to identify if there's any conflicts or problems with the materials as installed. So Michael Horton is also the project's structural engineer. They actually developed the list of what needs to be tested, so they're a good fit for serving in this role as the special inspections coordinator. And then the third item that I had mentioned that wasn't on the agenda, but I recommend be added, is for Langen. They are providing, again, on a hourly basis, not to exceed $10,000 for soil management consulting services. So as Gilbane starts getting into the site and moving dirt around, there needs to be some protocols about testing soils and making sure that it's handled appropriately within the site. So Langen already has won an award from the town of Madison for on-call services. So this is an extension of that underneath those rates. And like I said, this is intended to be for $10,000 not to exceed based on those unit rates. And we'll coordinate with them in the field to see what's needed and build to it as needed.
Got it. And Adam, I assume these costs were all factored into your master project budget.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions for Adam about these consultants?
I have a question. Back to Horton, that one.
Yep.
You said there are structural engineers, or
Yes.
and they're
Right.
going to do their own
They are
inspection?
not.
I mean, is that weird or?
No. They're not doing the inspections. They are reviewing the special inspector's work. So
I see.
someone
Okay.
else that's not them goes out and does the special inspections of the work. It's also not a conflict because they're not installing the work. So
Okay,
this is, is
It's
the
just-
bottom of footing sufficient to be able to start putting it down?
got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's
I understand now. Thank you.
yep.
And at the end of the job, you need one person who says the building was built correctly structurally.
And
the
I
testing lab was done and was signed off on. So,
got it. Thank you.
so any other further questions for Adam on any of those? So, if anyone would like to make a motion, Adam, do you have a draft motion, or we could wing this one if you don't?
I do.
I'll make that motion, whatever he has up there.
These motions 3.
Yeah. Item 6, I make a motion that we approve item 6, procurement construction consultants for the town, as written.
Thank you, Sharon. Would anyone like to second that motion?
Sure, I'll second it.
That's Woody.
Yep.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I believe that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to item number 7, review of invoice packets.
Yeah, so that item's postponed due to lack of some invoices, so we'll push that to the next time we all meet, have some substance behind the packet.
Got it. Good. Item number 8, review of upcoming meeting schedules and possible special meetings. And if you want to pull up your calendar.
I do. So, just looking at February about where we've been, obviously we've been going through the scope review meetings. Tonight we've gotten our approval down for consultants and the phase 2 early release. Tomorrow night is the special meeting I alluded to for Board of Selectmen. And then, as Nick mentioned, as we get into March, that first week of March, we should have that full GMP value. In addition to the, like I said, in addition to the dollar value, there's also just all the contract terms and bits and pieces for exclusions and things. So we'll Colliers and Tecton and Gilbane will work through those in the same way that we'll work through that letter and authorizations for the early release packages. So I would anticipate that sometime, maybe it's the 18th, maybe sooner if we can get it, having the approval of the full GMP value for the remaining 20 odd million worth of construction costs. One item of note here, or 2 items of note, I should say, for this first week of March. So if the Board of Selectmen votes to approve tomorrow night, Gilbane will work on cutting the contracts to those 6 sub-trades. And the notion is that Gilbane would target mobilization this first week of March, fencing, soil erosion control protections, things of that nature. Potentially starting some of the soil work this maybe the end of this first week or the beginning of this week in March 11th, to start actually moving dirt and things of that nature. Again, we're working through the specific timing of that. However, as I alluded to, right now our next meeting is scheduled for March 4th. I'd be looking to shift this meeting, if possible, to later in this week, if there's availability, just because we have our stormwater monitoring agents RFP coming out on the 4th. So it'd be good to get them on board as quickly as we can, just because we're starting to do real construction activities on site that following week. So I don't know if there's any availability or possibility for a meeting on the 6th or 7th, maybe. If it needs to be Monday, maybe the 11th, but something thereafter to get that award taken care of.
Does anyone have any particular preferences for next week? I think
I would prefer not a Wednesday.
how about the 7th then? Does that work for most people? Tentatively for now?
7th is good.
Same.
Good for me.
Good. I think the
I'm
biggest
out.
tournament. I'm sorry, Bob, what?
Yeah, I'm out for 3 weeks, so.
Got it. So. Doing the NCAA tournament country tour, Bob? Are you
Grand Bahama fishing.
Nice.
Nice. Well, the next best thing to a building committee meeting is the Grand Bahama fishing. It's a close second, I'm sure. Okay, let's pencil in the 7th, and we'll see what happens in the ensuing week. But I think we can safely say cancel the 4th for now, and then we'll.
Okay, I'll work with Raquel on getting that ironed out. And then just to sort of a wrap up on other items coming forward, I mentioned the GMP. We'll also, as part of that GMP dollar value, have the collected numbers for each of the alternates. Obviously, there's bits and pieces that come from each trade, so we didn't have the dollar value quite just yet for those alternates, but that'll come alongside the GMP value and some inclination of when those decisions have to be made, some sooner than later. But those alternates are also just part of this bigger discussion as to how to manage any differences between the budget and the GMP value, that 4 million we're talking about. Also, there's been a request to give a Board of Education update at some point, so we'll schedule that whenever it makes sense in terms of all the discussions going on. But I imagine sometime in March or April at the latest. And then groundbreaking is another topic that comes up as soon as we start moving dirt. Everyone wants to know when the ceremony is, so we're starting up those discussions with the collective town group to identify who wants to be invited, various dignitaries, getting a schedule on the books, that kind of thing. That covers it for the next 4 weeks or so.
Oh, and what's the hazmat investigation for Ryerson? Is that
So I'm gonna start putting together. I had drafted an RFP a year or whatever it was ago that never got put on the street because that work was taken offline. Since there is the savings where we're not necessarily uh, worried about the money for the hazmat consultant itself, I'll dust off that RFP and work at the timing to get that out on the street. So at least the investigation portion of Ryerson can get scheduled and procured. So once I have that RFP back, obviously I'll send it out to the group here just so you're aware it's coming down the pipe, but we'll get that work lined up. And even if the town decides not to move forward with the work itself, at least the surveying has been done and we know what the exposure is.
Got it. Yeah, and we can talk about that before we award that contract, obviously.
Yeah.
Good, perfect. Any other questions for Adam or the rest of the team? Moving on to number 9, public comment. Any, do we have any more public?
No.
Excellent. Let's see, closing remark, or number 10, remarks. I'm sure everyone wants to thank everybody for a great job, but go ahead, Woody. Go ahead. I'm sure you're.
Yeah, well, I just thought I'd update everyone on I'd like obviously to get from Justin and Craig what are what he was anticipating the number of kilowatts that the photovoltaic system had to be to cover the energy requirements of the school, but just guessing it through, and I think we're fairly close. If we did erect a 500 kilowatt array, then it would produce, based on the new non-residential program that Eversource kicked off a year ago, which replaced the old ZREC program, I would guesstimate that the system would generate approximately between 145 and 150,000 per year in electricity plus REC sales to Eversource under contract. That is at an average kilowatt hour price of 21 cents, which includes the generation and delivery based on numbers we've been looking at for a while, would also be 150,000. So basically, if we move ahead with this, you'll be looking at a zero cost for energy to power the school. Since we don't have gas and we don't have oil, it's just electricity, we'll save budgetarily 150,000 a year putting that system in. Guesstimates on cost really depend on the size, but right now you're seeing $2 and between $2 and $2.50 per watt to put up a system like that. We may get it in a little less expensively because the conduits for all the cabling are in. The switch gear has already been ordered to handle PV, and we know that the roof has been designed to handle PV. We may get somewhere in the vicinity of $1.2 million to $1.4 million for the cost of this thing, minus the 30%. So we're looking at under $1 million to save 150,000 a year. Those are awfully good numbers, and something that we really must consider in this situation to lower the cost of running that school. 150 grand a year is something we should not be passing up. I just wanted to put some numbers to it so people have an idea of what we're dealing with. Thank you, Graham.
Yeah, thanks, Woody. Yeah, no, I think it's, if we can pull it off, if we can get there, I know you're going to do everything you can to make sure we do get there. So appreciate you running those numbers and putting in concrete terms.
Yeah. Well, I spent some time with the NRES program today, and it's really tricky and involves some bidding. And I used a low bid number because obviously that gives us some security that I'm not just flying off the handle. But it's a difficult program to go through in a day.
Got it. Thanks, Woody. Anyone else have any other comments? Great. Well, appreciate all the time and getting a full quorum here on Tuesday evening. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will.
Sharon? Second? We have a second.
Sure.
Woody, keep it simple.
Our little dog and pony show. Yeah.
Easier on the minutes.
That's it. Less editing.
All in favor?
Guys.
Aye.